The biggest growth opportunity for many HVAC company isn't new leads, it's revenue already sitting inside their existing customers. So wallet share highlights the gap between what customers spend with you and what they spend with the competitors. So when you can quantify that opportunity, you can clearly see which segments represent the largest untapped revenue potential. And so we have a data set here that we can use to recreate all of this. And so the main thing we want to see is how much money have they spent with us versus competitors? And I understand that this number here is very hard to get. And so you might have to just estimate things just by, surveying your customers and things like that, because it'll give you, an idea of how much money you're leaving, on the table for specific customers. So in this data set, pretty basic data set, it's just, the month, customer ID, customer type. Here you have, are they on a plan, meaning are they an active member or a non-member? And then what you have here, which is what you need, is how much are they spending total, which again, I understand some of these numbers are hard to get. And then how much are they spending with you? And then you can subtract the two to get how much they're not spending with you. And then you have a wallet, what's called a wallet share. How much of their HVAC budget are you getting? And so we need to calculate a few columns here. And again, if you want this data set, there's a link to download it with all my formulas and everything. You don't think, no email, nothing. Just if you're coming here from the book, then it's in the book. If you're coming from the videos, then it's in the description. And so what we need to do is calculate our spend, which is pretty basic. It's just the sum of these four, right? Maintenance revenue, repair revenue, emergency revenue, install revenue. So then you could do, equals sum of those four columns, like equals sum of these four, right? And so these match this. And then the competitor spend is just the service revenue and install revenue. And what you can do when you survey your customers, you're probably not going to get this granular. Again, I recreate these data sets. But if you could just somehow get like an overall number, survey your customers, and you don't have to get it for every customer, but the ones you get it on, if you get enough customers, then it'll all sort of average out. So here we want the sum of these two, which is just same formula pretty much. Sum these two, and you can see this matches this. The total spend is just the sum of these two, right? Equals sum of these two, and now this matches this. And then now what we need is we need the year, and we want the year from the month column, right? Snapshot month. So equals year, and then way over here, snapshot month. And then we have that. And then now we need to do member versus non-member. So if there's a flag here, right here, if this is a 1, then member. If it's a 0, then non-member. So that's going to be, equals if, way back over here, if this equals 1, comma, member, make sure to use quotations. And then, comma, for the final argument, non-member. And now you can see this matches this. Okay, so those are the 5 columns you have to create. I'm going to delete them because we already have them. Just wanted to show you how to do it. Okay, so now that we have calculated those, what we can do is we can start to calculate all of this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy this. And again, there's a download to this file. So copy that. And then now we want the year. So we just want a unique list of the year. You can also type it in. With this example, typing it in is fine. So, because this is the table, right? So this table refers to the data set. So now we have this, but you'll notice right off the bat, it's not sorted. So we want it to be sorted, right? 25, 26, 27. To be fair, with just 3 years, just type it in. It's going to save time. I just wanted to show you those formulas. Okay, so this one is a little bit tricky to do in the sense that we need to find how many customers we have per year. And it's not as easy as just counting, how many times is 2026 here? How many times is 2025 here? Because you have the same customer multiple times. So what we want to do is we want to filter out anything for 2025, for 2026. Let me just show you. So equals filter. So we want to filter this comma, where this equals, and then we want this. And you can see this is just giving you the whole filter. If you were to go into the table here and just filter off of 2025, it's the same. It would be the same answer. But the first thing you'll notice is that we have a lot of duplicate. We can't count this because we're gonna have, we don't want customer 2 to show up 11 times, to count 11 times. We want a unique list. So now equals unique, and now you can see that it's a unique list. But now we want to count this. So in other words, we have 405. So we want to count this to get 405, and we have that. So that's the unique list of customers. And then we can change the name here. I just put, our annual spend. That means the customer's annual spend on us, right? And so again, you can change it to whatever you want. But yeah. So we have the sum FS, and if you remember, one of the columns that we created here was our spend. So we want to sum that, comma, where the year, comma, is 2025. Let me just center everything here, and then I'll remove the decimals. So we have that here. So this is the spend by year. And then for competitor spend, same formula, it's just this time on the competitor spend. So equals sum FS, table, competitor spend, comma, table, year, comma, here, right? So that's the total, or that's the competitor spend. So for the total spend, you can either do one of two things. You can sum this column, we did create it, or you can just do equals this plus this. Well, and then copy and paste down. So now your opportunity is going to be here, right? And the opportunity is the same as the competitor spend. I just put it there twice just to show you there's different ways to calculate this. So the opportunity, what I'll do is I'll just delete this. Well, if I delete it, then we need to go and actually sum the total spend column. Sum if as this, where this, comma, B3. And then now the opportunity is this minus this. It's the same answer. So now the weighted wallet share is going to equal this divided by this, right? So for every dollar that your customers are spending on HVAC, you're getting 55 cents, right? 55 point whatever. And so that's showing you, where this opportunity is. Like this is valuable and this is valuable, right? Okay, so the next thing we need, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy. I mean, you can do this however you want, but I'm just going to copy this. I'm just doing it just to save you time, just to save time in this video. And then after the name, I'm going to do a customer count here and then here. So this is going to be a little bit different. And the reasoning is going to be a little bit different is because we're going to be double counting. And you can do it, however you want. But the challenge with this is that some for this, it's like you have light commercial member, but some people might have changed, right? Within the same year, they might have went from member status to non-member status. So we're going to double count those people because in the end, we want to see what is the average, annual spend based on these, right? Just to show you, how to calculate that. Because it's also going to show you, like, as a person's a member, they spend more money, right? And so what we need to do to get a customer count, this is actually a little bit of a complex formula, but we're going to do filter again. So we're going to filter the customer ID, comma, and this time we need to do where the year is 2026, where the member status is member, and where the light commercial, where are we here? Right there, where the customer type, matches that. So this equals, and I'm going to delete this. I don't like that part. This equals, customer type equals, what is that? B11 here, times, and then I'm just going to type everything out here. Table year equals this, and I'm going to lock that cell with dollar signs. That way, as we drag it over and down, it's not going to change. Times table member status equals, and you can't really see it, but it's going to be cell C12. It's going to be this right here. And then now, if I press, sure, I'm going to delete this too. I don't like where it says the sheet name whenever you're in that sheet. It's just me being weird. Okay, so here, what we need is we need to put brackets around all of these, or else your formula, like I'll show you, you press enter, and then yeah, your formula doesn't work because we have to put brackets around all of this stuff. Just like debugging the formula, essentially. Here, see if that works. Yep. So now we have a customer count, but the problem is, again, you're going to see duplicates. So now we need to do the unique function, and yeah, with tables, you always have to put your bracket. So now we have the new unique, and we want, the number 38. So now count A. Gotta do the brackets again. Sort of annoying. Like that little pop-up shows up, and the reasoning is because you're not putting the bracket, but without tables, you can press enter again, and it just saves a little bit of time from having to go in and put in the bracket. Okay, so now we have the customer count. The problem here, and it's not necessarily a problem, is here you are definitely double counting. Like, in other words, this is 2026. If you sum this, you get 603, but the real number is 519. So you are double counting. So be aware that you're doing that. You could subtract, the count of these from 38 to get a different number, but we're doing this knowing we're double counting because people switch member statuses throughout the year, right? Or throughout the data set. Okay, so now we need to get the average wallet share, which is going to be these numbers first. And so we have to calculate these before we can get this, right? Because if you have 40,000 that you're making for light commercial members, you need to know, what is the numerator of the fraction, what is the denominator, and then this number here is just the division of these two. Okay, so we're going to start with average annual spend, and so the way you do average annual spend is a little bit different. We're not going to take the average of the column. We're not going to be taking the average of these or any of these columns. We're going to be taking the sum and then dividing it by the count. And the reason is because you have multiple rows for one person. So in other words, if a person spent $100 and $20 and $50, if you take the average of all of those, it's going to be a low number. As where if you sum that and divide by 1, because it's one customer, you're going to have a higher number, right? So what we need to do is we need to sum our spend here. How much money did they spend with us, comma, and then now you just sort of go through everything here. So where the year, comma, is here, comma, and then you have customer type here, comma, here, comma, and then member status here, comma, member. So this is the total amount. Now, the easy part is you just divide this by 38. Right? And so that's the average annual spend. And then the average total annual spend is going to be the same thing. I'm trying to look so much so that it's the same that I'm going to copy and paste this. Bam, I'm going to copy and paste. Let me try that again. Copy and then equals paste this. But now instead of our spend, we want the column that we created, the total spend. And that's going to tell you how much how much is available from this customer. So I'll just copy this, paste it, and then make it $1. Okay, so now what we do is the average wallet share equals this divided by this, make it a %, and then the average revenue opportunity per customer here is just subtracting these two. And the reason why we want to do this, I'm going to remove the decimals from here. The reason why we do this is because now we can multiply this times this, right? Because the total opportunity gap, you're leaving for light commercial members, you're leaving $1,200 per customer on the table, is essentially what this is saying, right? And so the reason why these numbers are higher, so light commercial non-member is your biggest gap by this amount. The difference is, this is $1,500. It's just you have 333, residential customers that aren't members. And so yeah, so that's how you can calculate this. And one way to double check this number is these four numbers here, which is 922,805. Like if you do equals sum, you can see that this matches this. And that's the way you can audit your formula. Yeah, so that's how you do it. Video's taking a long time, almost 17 minutes. So the final thing we're going to do is we're just going to create a simple chart, and this chart is going to show the average wallet share by the name, and then the line is going to be the average, opportunity per customer. You could also do it off of your total opportunity gap, whatever. This is the reason why this is better is because it's showing you like this is your highest opportunity, but overall it's not your highest number, right? It's your second highest, but it's head and shoulders above everything else here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the name, which is just a combination. You can see this formula. It's just combining these two. So I'm going to highlight the name, hold down Control, highlight the average wallet share, hold down Control, highlight the average opportunity per customer. Insert recommended charts. You're not going to see what you want here. You want to go to all charts. You want to go to combo. And then here, it still doesn't make sense, but what you're wanting is you're wanting your average wallet share as a column, and then you want your average revenue opportunity as a line. The reason why you're not seeing the columns here is because you're putting 0.96 on an axis of 7,000, right? So you're not going to see anything. So what we need is we want the line on a secondary axis. So once you click that, the columns will show up, right? And because I copy and paste this from the other sheet, it's already sorted largest to smallest. So your opportunities in light commercial, right? Light commercial non-members. Hold on just a second. Why is this? Oh, it's because we're doing this based off of average wallet share. That's how we're sorting this. If you want to sort this by here, then you just look at the red line, right? If you want to see the highest point, you look at the highest point of the red line. But this KPI is your wallet share by customer, and that's why we're sorting largest to smallest. But let's just fix the chart title here. I'm trying to copy that. Paste. That didn't work out at all. Let's try this again. Copy. Paste. And then the final thing I'm going to do, two more things. One, I'm going to remove the decimal here. I don't want it to be 0.0. And you can even cap it at 1. Like you can't be greater than 1. I'll cap it at 1 just to show you what it looks like. Maybe it's something that you want. But essentially what it's going to do is it's just going to put the charts, right at the top, which is fine. And then I'm going to click on the column, and then I'm going to press the plus sign and then do data labels. And then same thing here. The reason why you're seeing the decimal here, and you can leave it like that if you want, but the reason you're seeing it like that is because it's a decimal here, which is fine. But anyways, that's it. So the way you read this is, where are you leaving most of the money on the table? And it makes sense, like commercial non-member, right? Like your average deal size for commercial is higher than residential, right? But yeah, so that's it on this one. 20 minutes. Might be the longest one I've made. But if you have any questions on this stuff, questions at data boards. And then if you want this data set with all my formulas, there's a link to download. If not, if you can't find it, shoot me an email. More than happy to send it your way. And then finally, if you want some help with this stuff, figuring this out, building your KPIs, then let me know. I understand with this specific KPI, it's going to be hard, but hey, how much are you spending on the competition? But the thing is like if you have a database of 1,000 customers and you get 10% of them to tell you, you can still calculate this. Like that's enough to get this KPI. And so, yeah. But anyways, that's it for this one, and I will see you in future lessons.